All right, are we pretty well set? Everyone ready to go? All right, we're good to go. Good morning, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order of the Council of Governments and the MPO at call it 7:04 a.m. Dan, you want to do roll call?
Sure. We'll start with the members. Chester, Sydney Lignar.
Morning.
Good morning. Clinton, Michelle Bienvenia. She is not here. Cromwell, Anthony Salvatore is expected online. I don't see him, but he is expected. Deep River, Carol Jones. I
can't really hear you guys.
Oh, okay. So turn up the microphone. Yeah, Kevin's gonna work on turning up the microphone on now. Thank you. Durham, Brendan Ray.
Here.
East Haddam, Gelston.
Good morning.
East Hampton, Dave Cox.
I'm here.
Essex, Terry Duquesne.
Good morning.
Good morning. Adam, Sean Donovan. He is expected, but I don't think he's here yet. Killingworth, Erica Tour.
Here.
Welcome. Lyme, Christy Zelick. I think I see her online. There she is. Middlefield, Bob Yamantino. I do not see him. Middletown, Gino Serra. I don't see G. Old Line, Martha Shoemaker. Oh,
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Old Line, Carl Fortuna.
Old Saber.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Old Saber, Carl Fortuna. The second first Blackman of Old Line. Portland, Michael Belton here. And Westbrook, John Hall.
Good morning.
And yeah, and Gina Serra from the Mayor of City of Middleton. Welcome. We also, for the MPO, we have Joe Comerford, Estuary Transit District here. And we have Darlene Briggs from the Middlesex Chamber.
Good morning. Westbrook.
All right, and now we'll do guests. So starting with DOT, we have DOT Commissioner Gary Polito. We have our liaison, Ricky Milner. We have Michael Salter. Remind me of your name.
Carla Leone, Director of Municipal Affairs.
Oh, nice to meet you again. We also have, let's see, Jennifer Brady from Federal Highway Administration. And then from our congressional offices, we have Ellen Graham. And let's see if we have any other, are there any other guests that I haven't introduced?
I'm Lori McElwee, and I'm the South Central Regional Mobility Manager.
Thank you, Lori. And I will introduce staff. I'm Sam Gold, Director of RiverCOG. Joining us online, we have Brendan Garrity, our Regional Transit Planner on assignment at ETD. We have Vicki Harris. We have Janice Erlmeyer. We have Megan Juflis, Susie Bethman, Rob Harriman, Eliza Lopresti, Carly Kurla. Let's see. Oh, we have Sally Rothenhaus. We have Jake Capobianco. Am I missing anyone? I think everyone's been introduced. Oh, and Kevin Armstrong. Thank you. All right. And with that, Mr. Vice Chair, you can go on with the meeting.
All right, thank you, Sam. We'll roll along with the agenda as is for now, and invite our guest speaker to share his thoughts with us. Sure. Commissioner.
Okay, that's it.
You can sit.
Okay.
Stay in.
So I think everyone can hear me okay. So my name is Gary Duquesne. I'm Commissioner of CONDOT. I have been in this role for just over 3 years now. So just going around to each of the regions to discuss what's going on at the state and the federal level for us in the transportation space. So want to start first by thanking everyone for your partnerships in delivering the capital program last year, and looking forward to this year. A lot of work is underway at the state level to administer the public works projects and federally funded transportation program. But also thank you for all of your public works teams and the partnerships this winter, which was extremely taxing on all of us at the state and federal, state and local level, to put up with the two major storms and then all the icing and other storms that occurred. Hopefully we don't have another winter like that next year, but that's getting back to what we used to have. It was good exercise in muscle memory for all of our public works and DOT employees to get back in the mode of actual winter storms. So, just expressing my thanks to your public works teams for the partnership, because we couldn't do it without you. So thank you. On the infrastructure side for us at DOT, we are towards the tail end of a 5-year federal surface transportation bill. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or the infrastructure bill, expires on September 30th of this year. That is a bit concerning for us, because we'll need to wait and see what the next version of the federal surface transportation bill looks like. For us here in Connecticut, it's the major component of our funding to deliver road, bridge, and transit projects here in Connecticut, and rail projects. So without federal funding, we would essentially come to a grinding halt in terms of infrastructure investments. State funding provides the match for those federal funds and provides a lot of the maintenance funds, because federal funds don't cover maintenance costs. But for us, the federal program is critical. So we're eagerly waiting to see what the federal government is going to do. I know the House Transportation Infrastructure Committee is planning to introduce their bill next week and have a markup on April 29th. We'll wait and see what the Senate does, but either way, we continue to send clear messages that our priorities are not going backwards on investment. We want to maintain the same level of funding, adjusting for inflation moving forward, and we need to have transit and passenger rail in the bill. There has been talk about eliminating some passenger rail and freight rail funding from the next surface transportation bill, which would be catastrophic for Connecticut. For us, our largest infrastructure projects on the horizon in the next 5 years are passenger rail projects. We inherited a whole bunch of old infrastructure from JP Morgan when he built it in the late 1890s and early 1900s. The movable rail bridges on the New Haven line have to get replaced. It's not something we have an option to do. So if we don't have federal fund access to federal funds to do those, we will essentially have to starve our road program to cover those. And we're talking about $3 billion for a bridge between Milford and Stratford, $1 billion for a bridge in Westport, and then about a $2 billion bridge in Greenwich. So without federal funds to help cover those, severely negatively impacting Connecticut's road and bridge program for the state and the local governments. So for us, our message is clear. It's a federal responsibility. We inherited these assets. We did not build them. We inherited them when the railroads went bankrupt. And Amtrak relies on this. The freight railroads rely on it. So it's not just a Connecticut problem, it's a national problem. On the road and bridge side, we're making great progress. About 12 years ago, around 10% of our state's bridges were in poor condition, and the metric is poor, fair, good. Now we're down to just under 4% of our bridges in poor condition, so we continue to bend that curve. We're putting the federal funds and the state funds that have been increased to good use, and we continue to address a lot of those lingering projects that we all want to see. The problem, though, for us is inflation has impacted everything in the economy. On the highway construction side, inflation is up to 70% over the past 4 years. So we got a large infusion of federal funds in the surface transportation bill, the infrastructure bill, that's been really eroded by inflation, but we are continuing to make progress addressing a huge backlog of projects. The other thing that we are going to have to address in the next few years is at the state level, making sure that we have funds to match our needs at the state level in terms of paying for public transportation and paying for the capital projects. The state of Connecticut, we do not pay cash for any of our transportation projects. We use state bonds, which are based on various revenue streams coming into the Special Transportation Fund. It used to be the Special Transportation Fund was largely funded by gas tax and diesel tax. Now the major source of that is general sales tax. That makes up 40% of the transportation fund. 25% of it approximately is the gas and diesel tax. So we've kind of moved away from the user pay model, and now it's a general Everyone helps contribute to the cost of transportation, but that special transportation fund pays essentially two large things. It pays for about right now $1 billion a year in debt service for capital projects. It pays almost $700 million a year for bus and rail service in the state. And then the third component is to pay for the operations of the DOT and the DMV. Our main costs of the DOT are staff, and it costs around $200 million a year. And then salt is our other expense, salt and utilities. So the big two drivers driving the need for additional revenues for the Special Transportation Fund are the cost of bus and rail service in the state and the capital projects that we've greatly increased over the past few years. Our capital program has increased almost threefold in the past decade. We're doing more projects and we're doing larger projects. And those larger projects are because our infrastructure in Connecticut was largely all built around the same time, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It's all eligible for Social Security, and it all needs to be either patched up, a hip replaced, or a full replacement of both knees and hips. So that's what we are facing in Connecticut. Is unlike Arizona, Florida, Texas, where they are building new roads and highways and transit systems across their states. In Connecticut, we are faced with what can we do to repair and replace the infrastructure we have, make it more efficient, and move people more reliably through our state so that we eliminate some of these bottlenecks. So that's what I just wanted to talk about today. I want to be here to answer any of your questions, and thank you for the partnership. I know Sam did the introductions, but the way we've restructured in our agency is we have our MPO coordination unit. Mike Salter is a supervisor leading that unit. Ricky's the liaison here to RiverCOG, and then we also have, so they are the day-to-day coordination with the MPO and the Council of Governments. Carlo Leone has moved into a new role as Director of Municipal Affairs, so we created an Office of Government Affairs where there's federal affairs, tribal affairs, municipal affairs, and legislative affairs under Pam Ciccato. So Carlo heads up our municipal CEOs and town managers who are looking for a contact in the agency. If obviously your MPO is directly tied in with us, but if you want to also talk to Carlo, he can help point in the right direction. And then we have our team on the federal side that works with our federal partners as well. So just want to stop there and happy to answer any questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, by the way, Mr. Kishmer. Anybody have any questions that they want to ask at this point of the commissioner?
Except one question, and a resident of Portland asked, because he knew that you would be here today. Tolls on Route 95, is that ever going to happen?
So
what do they want the answer to be?
I don't know why they want it to be.
So I mean, most people remember Governor Lamont did attempt to try and get tolls to help pay for our transportation system. The legislature didn't act on that, so I think it's going to have to be a discussion in a year or two. What does the state want to do to pay for transportation? We'll have to come up with new revenue streams. Right now, we're doing a look, what is the rest of the country doing? Electric vehicles don't contribute to the transportation system today, but they are only a small portion of the fleet makeup. I think it's like 6% of the fleet right now, so it's not a huge issue. But as that grows, that will become a growing burden. Vehicles are more fuel efficient as well. Tolls are used on every state that touches the Atlantic coast, except for Connecticut. So it's something that I think will have to be re-examined in the coming years, but there are other options on the table that other states are using. Virginia, Utah, Hawaii, Washington, California are all using mileage-based user fees or vehicle miles traveled. So you pay for how many miles you travel, essentially, each year. Connecticut, that would be difficult to implement because they all have annual inspections where they have to bring their vehicle to be inspected for safety and emissions. For us, we do emissions some vehicles, but not everyone has to do it. And so we would have no way of tracking their mileage unless you installed software in each vehicle. So I don't know. That's above my pay grade, but the legislature will have to decide that in the next year or two. So.
And how would you do VMPs in a small state like Connecticut where, you're easily in Rhode Island or New York or Massachusetts.
Yeah, you'd have, exactly. So that's why there are pilots going on right now to see how that could work. Delaware's been leading those pilot programs and I actually tested it in my vehicle 2 years ago to see how much mileage in state, how much mileage out of state. So yeah, for Connecticut, for Rhode Island, for all of New England, and for the Northeast, it's that cross-boundary traffic would be very difficult. It would almost have to be a national program. And the chair of transportation in the House was really interested in national pilot. Unfortunately, this current administration blocked it from launching. So,
Cindy?
Yes, do you have an update for us on the Route 9 traffic lights project?
yeah. So we've been really working closely on that. The final design approval, essentially for the chief engineer to sign off on the design, should be later this fall. So we should be able to move forward in next year, launching the project. We've been really working closely with Middletown to make sure that we can start some of the early projects like Dakota and Rapallo, start making changes to those roads first, to make sure we continue that drumbeat of progress. So that is going to be the first piece that moves. And after we finalize the design, we'll go out for more public comments or more public meetings to make the people aware. What does the final design look like? Here's what the timeline looks like, and talk about what the interaction will be at the local and the business level to make sure that whenever we do a large project, we set up storefronts in the community for businesses. We have communications teams that are in constant communication with the chambers of commerce and the local businesses to make sure they're aware each week of what's going to happen. So, yeah, this is on track finally. We had a permitting holdup because we, with the adjustment to the project based on the Middletown designs, that worked out really well. It resulted in a change of location for us to do some wetlands mitigation, so we had to wait for permits for that. So that's been the slight delay, but it hasn't been a significant delay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Carrie?
Is the state working on a project for runway drivers? It seems like there was a lot of activity on the off-ramps or on-ramps in certain areas of the state, but I know that there was an awful accident a year and a half ago here in Westbrook on 95, and just wondered kind of, is that ongoing, or are there only certain on-ramps or off-ramps that are focused on?
So we received $40 million to work on wrong-way driver detection systems. We have 211 ramps with detection systems installed across the state. With the funding we have, we can get around just over 400 ramps, we believe. What we did was we took every ramp in the state and we applied multiple criteria to the screening. So what's the design? Are they the leaves that come together and on and off are directly adjacent to each other? Is it near any place that's serving alcohol? Is there lighting in the area? Those all factors. Did a rating system for every ramp in the state. We have around over 700 ramps in the state, much more than almost any other state in the country per capita. We have way too many ramps, which leads to a lot of the congestion on our highways, actually, because people use them as local roads instead of interstates. But an aside, so we are on track to, by the end, in the next year, by spring or summer of 27, we should be in over 400 locations. So we have all of those identified and laid out, so we can get the list to RiverCOG as to any in this area that will be in the next phase. The big thing continues to be they're drunk and high, or just high, or just drunk. So it's a behavioral problem, but since the installation of these just over 2 years ago, we have 211 right now. We've had 1,000 activations, which means 1,000 times, over 1,000 times now, people have gone the wrong way up the ramp. The system has activated, the lights turned on, it's flashed at them. Thankfully, over 800 times, they have turned around and went the correct way. It's the Federal Highway Administrator was here yesterday visiting Connecticut for National Work Zone Awareness Week, and we took him to our operations center in Newington to show him our wrong way driver operations desk. and showed him how it works, and he was floored by how many times it's being activated. It just, if not for this system, we wouldn't really know how many people are actually doing it. And so it's really scary. I get the full digest every night or every morning of like what occurred the night before. And there's videos of the people, and it's just, you know, by pure luck that they are not killing someone each time it happens. So for each time we do have a fatal crash or a non-fatal crash, there's many more that occur and thankfully don't kill someone. So it is a priority of ours. We'll get to over 400 by the spring or summer of next year, but we want to be in a world where we don't need that. But we need to make sure that, you know, we get more enforcement out there to do more enforcement and stopping drunk and drug driving, because that's the driving factor.
Thank you.
Okay. Carl? I'm sorry, I did see Diane, that's right.
Early.
Shoreline East, very important down here for tourism and workforce. Any updates on that?
So Shoreline East is obviously a continuing topic at the legislature. Its costs are significant. I think what a lot of people, you know, what I've been trying to spend a lot of time is trying to educate people where we are with Shoreline East is today there's just as many trains serving Shoreline East as there are serving the Waterbury branch line. So 132 trains per week on Shoreline East, 134 trains per week on the Waterbury branch line. But the Waterbury branch line has a significant number, higher ridership number. That being said, I think there was a decision made several years ago to, I think most of you will remember, prior to COVID, most trains on Shoreline East would stop in Old Saybrook and then it wouldn't go all the way to New London, right? Today, New London has more trains on serving them than they did pre-COVID. So there's much greater Shoreline East service serving New London than they had pre-COVID. Unfortunately, what that means is you're taking the same number of crews serving this territory and extending their trips. So now they have to go all the way to New London and come all the way back. Let's say you have the same amount of money serving Shoreline East, but they're serving a wider geographic area. They're serving longer time spans, so they're not able to do as many trips. So if let's say we cut off the New London portion of the service, which I'm not proposing, but let's say you cut that off, you could then add multiple more trips from New Haven to Old Saybrook each day because they'd be able to go back and forth more frequently. The driving cost for us on Shoreline East is the labor costs. And so if we were to not do as frequent trips to New London, then we'd be able to serve more trips in the territory. But that's been the big factor is why can't we get as much service with these same dollar values? And it's because we've done more geographic area of service and it's taking longer, and the same number of crews are able to do less for that value. So we need to find what the right balance is. What I also told legislators is right now we can't be both things. We can't be serving people going eastbound in the morning to get to Electric Boat, right? And we also can't be getting people westbound in the morning, getting people to New Haven and beyond, to Norwalk, to Stamford, because you would essentially need to have a second base of operations. We would need an eastern base of operations to be able to launch, to be able to be a base for that equipment. So that's where we struggle is, could we increase service and plug some gaps as they exist today to get better service westbound in the morning and better service eastbound in the evening? I think so, and we're doing that work right now to figure out with the equipment we have, with the cost, with the funding we have, how can we fill some of those gaps? And then if they give us more funding in the budget, what else could the schedule look like? But it can't be both serving, just using them as an example, Electric Boat and Pfizer, and serving the medical and biotech sector in New Haven, because it's essentially at cross currents there. And so we'll need to have a discussion with the legislature, with chief elected officials, with the business community about where do we want to start? Like, where do we want to start if they give us additional funding in the budget? What's our goal? Is it to improve the service as it exists today, or is it to flip the discussion and focus on that, getting people in the other direction to service electric boats. So that's what we're gonna wanna talk about. There's no easy solution, because we also have the drawbridges, which with the Connecticut River Bridge under construction, as you all know, that puts limitations on how many trains can go over the drawbridges. You know, there's discussion about can we get to Mystic and can we get to Westerly? That would drive up costs even more, and the Coast Guard and DEP would have to approve more trains going over the bridges over, you know, in between New London and Groton, which then becomes a problem because then you have fewer openings for boats and submarines. So it's complicated, but we've committed to the legislature, you know, we will do the best service we can with the funding they provide us. I know that's not the answer everyone wants to hear, but I try to be realistic and not, you know, promise anything I can't deliver on.
Okay, Carl? Just a comment that I don't expect an answer on today because it's a little bit of an obscure issue. We have a LOTSIP grant that we should be receiving later in the year. We're pretty much in final design. I think it's already been sent up to DOT. And we have permanent easements along the path that we're going to be doing improvements. And the permanent easements require certificates of title for the town to issue. And good luck trying to find an attorney who will issue a certificate of title. These lawyers don't want to do title searches anymore. It's not worth their malpractice insurance. So it's title searchers who do it, who can't issue a certificate of title. So I actually had a phone call with, first of all, thank you for all you do. Your staff is great. We've interacted with them a lot over the last, obviously, many years, but even more recently on this issue. And they've been excellent. They've just been very responsive. That's in the guidelines, and there may be fewer and fewer. I did find somebody, Quinnipiac Title out of Hamden, but there are many. So that might have to be updated in your guidelines at some point. It's just kind of a sticking point issue, number one. Number two, obviously turnaround time is a big deal when people submit. Are you guys investing in technology that would help you with turnaround time? I mean, obviously, I don't want to use the AI, right? I mean, but how are you guys using technology to assist maybe in some turnaround?
Yeah, so we'll work with you on the lots of guidelines. I mean,
I'm just saying for others.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward because it is based on the federal, right? So lots of it is like the federal fund swap, so we base it purely on those federal guidelines. So we can look at, we have a whole rights of way division, so they can advise on, like, we can make that change moving forward. Technology is tough. We actually receive less right now in our annual budget for technology than we did 15 years ago. Each year we go into the legislature asking for increases to pay for new software licenses, to pay for new laptops, and they either don't fund it or they cut it. So we do our best. So we've digitized most things now, thankfully. And we have increased staffing, and we are increasing staffing in the local roads program, which works on these pieces. We have not increased staffing at the district level for our maintenance team, which does a lot of the encroachment permits. That's an area we are desperate to try and get approval to hire more staff. But there's always, we definitely need to do better in the turnaround time for everything.
I'm not complaining.
No, I know it's okay to complain, because I complain. So we do need to do a better job. Currently we're not using technology. There's a lot of restrictions at the state level on what we can use. But the first step was digitizing everything. We do have a chief data officer now, who's in his role, and we reorganized within, IT was this thing shoved in the commissioner's office, and so I reorganized the agency to build out a Bureau of Planning, Technology, and Innovation. So now our enterprise GIS team and our IT team are working together under the chief data officer to look at how can we bring technology to do continuous improvement inside the agency. And so we're really excited what might come out of that. So he's really keen on how can we use machine learning and AI appropriately, staying within the state boundaries that they allow us to improve productivity. And we did a pilot using Microsoft Copilot, and to 10 people in the agency, the engineers loved it. They're like, I'm finally able to go back to being an engineer, not focus on like the administrative part of this job. So that's where we want to try and find efficiencies there. So
That's great.
yeah.
Let's see if anyone online. Anyone online have any questions or comments for the commissioner? Oh, I see Sean Donlan from Haddam. Go ahead. It's on mute.
At least his name's Sean.
There you go. I know, at least I got the name right. I came in late, I didn't hear all of it, but I just want to compliment you on the wrong way traffic program you set up. I really appreciate the state taking the time to do that. That can really save some lives, and just wanted to compliment you for implementing that program. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, online or otherwise?
I have a question. Just an update on funding for the on-demand pilots. Extra Mile here has been quite a success, and we would like to see it continue.
So I know I believe the appropriations budget includes funding for that. So for a 1-year extension, our position is we'll do whatever the legislature tells us to do, obviously. So budget negotiations, after it comes out of appropes, the appropriations chairs go in a room with the governor's office and OPM for the last few weeks of session and debate everything. So I know in the transportation portion of the budget, there's a large number of items that were not in the governor's original budget. So there's additional funding for Shoreline East. There's funding for microtransit, and there's, I think, $8 million for Greater Bridgeport Transit, which has a huge shortfall in their operating budget. So all of those are all going to need to be addressed somehow. I've told the legislature I think microtransit is extremely valuable and has a really good purpose to serve, where as long as, in my opinion, it's not overlapping existing fixed routes. There's a huge need for it in suburban and rural communities where there are no fixed routes. It can connect people to providing access to mobility and flexibility, access to economic opportunity, to school, to healthcare. As long as we are not starving our fixed route transit systems from their riders, which I know in many cases, many of the microtransit systems we have today do not overlap, or they actually have a system built into the software where if your location overlaps with the fixed route, it'll direct you to that fixed route bus instead. So I think that's the model we should be looking at after we get through. If they fund another year extension, I think we as a state should look at, okay, how does it fit into the transit systems, and because there are some of those microtransit pilots that definitely are overlapping with the fixed route and taking riders away from the fixed route. So you're losing fares on the fixed route side, and then some of them are paying the same price for the fixed route bus, but the microtransit, and that's probably something we need to look at too, is what's the fare being collected on the microtransit side, because we get a lot of pressure every year on what's the subsidy per rider for the buses, right? I know our transit districts get those questions all the time, and so I think that's something that we should look at on the microtransit side too, is like, what's the right fare to be collected on the use of those?
And I'll just put a plug in. Microtransit is a great last mile solution for commuter rail, and so both Westbrook and Old Saybrook, the train stations are covered by Extra Mile, and it's a way of being able to adapt and get people to their trains as the train schedules and the bus schedules are not well aligned. So, thanks.
I have a question. I have several questions, but first of all, thank you very much for doing your job. And I know it's tough. You're at a crossroads right now. I believe we need to look over the horizon, particularly Connecticut. I used to commute to Hartford every day, and I was amazed each day by the thousands of cars that would pass me or I pass them. One person in the vehicle, whether it's a sports car or SUV. Tremendous waste of fuel and time. And we need to stop that because, first of all, fuel's not gonna get any cheaper, despite what the government says. It's going the other way, it has to because there's only so much. And then cars too are getting very expensive. People can't afford to have 2 or 3 cars in their family anymore.
Right.
And especially the lower middle class, they're struggling to have 1 car. And so I think busing, public transit is the answer to all of this. It's not a mystery. So we need to really look at that hard and have a good, trustworthy public transit system, which is a combination of rail and bus. I think that's what we really need to look hard at and invest in. Now, the old story of too little revenue and too high expenditures. That's not gonna go away either. But at least we gotta pick a system that's going to work. And right now, the system is barely working, and it's woefully inadequate for what we needed to do. Because think about how we're gonna look 10 years from now, or 50 years from now. And a lot of this stuff, like building bridges, I know it's very expensive, but we need to start thinking about that and plan for the future, rather than plan to fix the problem we have today. Because the problems today are gonna get worse if we don't plan for the future. So that's my advice to you. I know you got a tough job, but I really believe that's not good. Electric vehicles, they're not the answer either. They bring their own set of problems. Infrastructure to charge the vehicles. Now the state is forcing the municipalities to buy electric buses. They first had it.
Making me do it too.
It has delayed. But people, you can't forget that an electric bus, I have an electric vehicle at home myself, it's a golf cart. But it's the same principle. They're very heavy. So bridges have to be redesigned. If we're gonna really go to electric vehicles, either bus or truck or car, we're gonna have to redesign our bridges and rebuild them. Our parking garages are undersized now too, because they're not designed for those heavy vehicles. So that has to be looked at. So we really need to look at the distance, where we want to be, really want to be. And I don't think you want to be like we are today. It's just not gonna work. People can't afford it anymore, frankly. And so as far as the bridges across the waterways, simply, I'm familiar with a separate bridge. I use it on weekends, I won't say why or how, but I have to wait for it occasionally and time it. Why can't the bridge be higher? Rather than spend $1 billion you're spending now down there in the Old Civic Bridge, make another bridge, but make it higher. Do away with the whole drawbridge idea. It'd be easier on the trains, be easier on the boats. I know it's a lot of money.
Well, it's not a lot of money, it's the trains can't have a steep grade, so you'd have to chase it for miles. You'd have to rebuild the rail bed for miles and take a whole bunch of property, so.
Why would we take property? Because of the slope of the embankment? But again, folks, look at the distance. What's the net cost? And what's the limitation? And another thing to do is, if I understand your complication with manpower, womenpower too, with employees, of staff, let me use the word staff, that's much more good, correct. Staff and vehicles, timing, why can't you double the tracks? Have two sets of tracks rather than one. That would increase your flexibility considerably. I know you're gonna have to buy property, but again, look at the long road, where we're going, and what we're gonna need. So that's what I ask you. I'm asking you and your staff to look at over the horizon.
Perfect timing for that because we have a public meeting today and it's open for public comment until May 20-something, I think, for our long-range transportation plan, which is looking to 2055. So every few years we have to look and do a plan for what do we want the future of Connecticut to look like for the transportation system. And so it's out for public comment right now. It's our 2055 long-range plan. So definitely would encourage each community to submit comments in, because that's the federal driving document that's going to drive where we can make investments. So essentially when we go to the federal government and say, we want to do this project, please give us money, they're going to say, is it in your long-range plan, or is it accounted for, is it thought about in your long-range plan? It's not a list of projects, it's a planning document for what do we want the system to look like. for sure. And so that's exactly what we are trying to work on right now.
Thank you very much. I have another question, if nobody else has a question.
I will add on the bus side, electric bus side. I know municipalities are trying to get some relief there on the electric bus mandate for schools. We're doing the same thing on our side. We've requested a relief so that actually we had a ban starting January 1st, 24. We could no longer purchase any diesel or gasoline powered buses. So we're asking for relief on that because it's not realistic. The market's not there. The infrastructure to be able to charge the buses is the hardest part for us. It would cost us $1 billion to upgrade all of our bus depots across the state to be able to charge the buses, which we don't think is, we'd rather invest that in the system to have better public transportation service. So we're asking for relief this session too, just like municipalities are.
So right on, thank you very much.
Brendan. Commissioner, thank you for coming, I appreciate it. My question is about the salt shortage that we all suffered through for the last actually 2 years. Is there any way that we can work with, and forgive my ignorance on how the state deals with salt and procures it and stores it and all that, but it just seems to me like we need a better reserve for, you know, we ordered it, but we just couldn't get it. February got pretty dicey.
Yeah, so I know, I don't know if you use Morton's or...
We had Morton this year, yes.
So I know a lot of people had issues with Morton's this year. We use them as well. We also we had to tap into other suppliers too. I know up in the northwest corner we connected some municipalities with some of the other suppliers that we utilize, Cargill, and then there was a new supplier that entered the market. It was a whole northeast problem where they were having, I know Morton's was having issues with getting their material from South America and from Egypt, where they produce a lot of it. So Cargill gets most of theirs, I believe, from Utah and some other portions that are a little more accessible, so, and they ship it via rail, so we were able to get some of that. So we are happy to work with you all and share our contacts with each of the suppliers. We have our salt contract that we use through the DAS list, supply list. I know multiple, I don't know if RiverCOG does, I know like in the CROG region, they have their salt contract they utilize in the Northwest.
And we're all members of the Capital Region Purchasing.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's been an issue. So what we have done is, you know, we built out additional salt depots for our emergency supplies, and it's very, as your public works teams know, it's very difficult to get approval to build a salt shed. The DEP doesn't like them, and so it's extremely costly. So we do have a few emergency depots that we are able to get built and permitted and built, but it's constantly us moving around our 70 facilities around the state throughout the winter, moving salt between different regions. But I know there were some asks this year for emergency help from us. We didn't have the salt to provide any help either, but we were able to connect some municipalities with, okay, you can't get it from this supplier here, contact this supplier, we know they have some in stock. It was double the cost, but at least it was something. So we can definitely work closely in the lead up to the fall, provide our contract list as well, and work with CROG too, to make sure that they have the full contact list to add. But it is going to be a problem. Morton's knows it's been an issue. I was able to, there were a few municipalities that couldn't get their supplies from Morton's, from the Gateway Terminal in New Haven. So I was able to, they have lobbyists that work at the Capitol. I was able to call the lobbyist for Gateway Terminal. She contacted them, put them in touch with the municipal CEO, and they were able to dislodge the shipments and get them delivered. So that's something we can help with too, if there's ever a situation like that again, which we hope is not going to happen. But even if most people think, okay, we had a lot of snow, that's why we had to use a lot of salt. In reality, it's the icing conditions that is the problem that leads to us using more salt, as you all know. So as our climate continues to change, we're probably going to see more icing occurrence and less heavy snow occurrence. So salt needs are not going to go down in the next decade. It actually might increase. So it's something we definitely need to get the industry to focus on. Sorry, that's not answer you're looking for, but we want to help you all.
Joe?
So, you guys are leading the effort on unified bus fares, which is like great, something we've been talking about for as long as I've been here. Is there any, do you see any possibility, not now, but in the future, of getting rail involved, not necessarily at the same fare level, but to have a pass that works across it all? So we can
Like you pass.
make multimodal, connections easier.
So our goal with the new, fare system that we want to purchase, so it's out, I think we had 13 responses to the RFP we issued, or maybe 10, I
That's
forget.
the tap one.
The TAP one, yeah. So our goal would be to have that system be able to be used on our CT Rail and Shoreline East system, so Hartford Line and Shoreline East as well. So the goal would be to have one fare collection system for all modes in Connecticut, other than Metro North, because they refuse. But that's the goal. And then if it's all on that same fare app system, back-end system, then we could to be able to do like a fare pass for the day that would be used on Shoreline East, Hartford Line, any bus system in the state. So that is where we want to get. And so I know the discussions that will be occurring, and you've been really active in the fare collection process. So thank you for piloting that.
I think 11 RFPs to read still.
Yeah, so I know I'm really pushing my team during that process to make sure that whoever we end up selecting, it has that capability to incorporate that.
Because I wasn't aware that we were looking at rail in that as well.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Great, because that's that fair confusion
Yes,
can deter customers.
exactly.
Anyone else, online or in the room?
I'll just make one last comment. Just thank you for coming today to meet with us, and I'll use this opportunity to advocate on behalf of my friends who use New Haven Union Station to save the shiny tunnels. I told people to write in for the public comment if they want to speak their minds, but people like the shiny tunnels in New Haven.
People do like the shiny tunnels. So we are doing a mega project in New Haven. We have to rebuild all the platforms in New Haven train station. They are failing because open to the elements for so long. You put salt down because you don't want people slipping off the platforms onto the tracks. So we have a huge project to do, a canopy over all the tracks. And as part of that, we have to rebuild all the elevators in the tunnel to the platforms. So we have to gut the entire tunnel. And so that's what prompted us to say, okay, well, how can we have, if we have to put, and we have to have more options and better elevator access, and so it's going to really tear up the whole tunnel. So that's why.
That's one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not because we hate the. To me, it's like going through the Millennium Falcon or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
for the opportunity.
Thank you. We'll move on then to, before we get to congressional stuff, public speaking. Is there anybody, general public, that wants to speak or make a comment?
I think Ricky has his hand.
Ricky has your hand up. Go ahead, Ricky.
Good morning, everyone. I have 3 updates for you on behalf of the CCDOT for the virtual public information meetings. So the first one is the long range. So the 3 notifications I have for you this morning is, the first one is the long range transportation plan. That's the virtual public information meetings. That is today, like the commission mentioned. There'll be 2 virtual public information meetings today for the 2025 long range plan. So today, so the first one is at 12 o'clock, and the next one is tonight at 6 o'clock. The next one I want to discuss is the active transportation plan. We're planning to conduct 2 public information meetings concerning the active transportation plan on Tuesday, May 19th, and Wednesday, May 20th, at 12 and 6 o'clock as well. And the last one I want to discuss is the draft statewide transportation improvement program for STIP. The DOT will conduct 2 public informational meetings regarding the draft STIP on Wednesday, June 3rd, at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So we have it virtually, but also too, there's an in-person option at the DOT headquarters for both times. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else under public speaking? All right, congressional delegates.
Ellen Graham?
Sure.
You can have a thumb war, however you want to decide.
Ellen Graham, Senator Blumenthal's office. Thank you for making us our own little thing on the agenda. That's exciting. Just wanted to update that the appropriations process has started. So be look out for that. I'm trying to be hopeful that there'll be some sort of budget this year, but it's an election year, so not looking likely. WRDA is coming up this year. We're gonna keep focus on that. I think that's about it for me.
Julia?
Anything to add?
Okay, good morning. So, the Department of Homeland Security is still in a one-agency shutdown. The Senate plans to vote on a budget resolution this week that would set up a second reconciliation package, the first one being last year, with a narrow focus on two of the DHS sub-agencies. This would be ICE and CBP. Congress would then still, if this went through, have to pass funding for the remaining DHS sub-agencies, including USCIS, the Coast Guard, CISA, FEMA, and TSA. The Senate did back up almost exactly 1 month ago pass an amendment to the fiscal year 26 Consolidation Appropriations Act to put DHS funding minus ICE and CBP in into play to reopen DHS. House leadership has yet to address this. Any person, constituent of the United States, is welcome to call the Speaker of the House's office and request that that comes to the floor. And we do encourage you to do so. We are ready to go anytime that gets going. Local governments will continue to experience impacts with FEMA reimbursements, grant processing, as well as reduced federal cybersecurity support. The Disaster Relief Fund is at about $4 billion remaining at the beginning of this month, which sounds like a lot of money, but for DRF is almost empty, which is a concern looking at the onset of hurricane season. So these are things that we are tracking and we are concerned about. And you know, if you have any specific issues, especially with, I know FEMA grants are big with this group, if you want to flag that for us so we can keep track and send you updates as we have information, we're happy to do so. Additionally, the White House Office of Management and Budget on April 3rd released the budget request for fiscal year 27. I would like to stress this is not a legislative document. Congress still has the ultimate authority to either accept and pass these budget recommendations or amend them or reject them outright. However, it is a good opportunity for any advocacy if you look through and you see things that either work really well for your municipality or don't. And I have some information in my report on what is included in that. And there we go. Additionally, the Farm Recovery and Support Block Grant, that was a block grant program spearheaded by Congresswoman DeLauro's office back in December of 2024, meant to respond to two national disaster declarations for Connecticut from the summer of 2023 and 24 for farmers from weather events that caused crop loss. We still have yet to have a grant agreement signed with USDA. The congressional delegation or staff from the House side have been meeting with Commissioner Hurlburt and USDA pretty regularly. As of last week, we have been told it is very close to the finish line. Fingers crossed that that is true, but we are keeping an eye on that. Opportunity zones, which came out first in 2018, are now permanent. And the state is going to be going through a process of identifying which census tracts they would like to put forward to be designated as opportunity zones. So I would encourage definitely engaging with DECD on that. BRIC, one small update. So as I mentioned last time, the court issued a final order to enforce their December 11th ruling that those funds had to be reissued. We can confirm at this point in time that FEMA has reached out to the appropriate state officials and they are in communication. The quarterly and annual reporting deadline for American Rescue Plan, state and local fiscal recovery funds is coming up very fast on April 30th. And I will just, to piggyback off of what the commissioner said with the surface transportation reauthorization stuff, we are, actively kind of thinking about that all the time. And so, anything that you would like for us to advocate in specific, please feel free to reach out, and we will do the best we can. And I think that's it.
At this point, do you see a short-term extension for the transportation authorization?
I hope so. I hope so. I am not currently in the business of making predictions because things tend to be, they seem like they're going one way and then kind of zag. And so that is my hope, and that is definitely a priority for this office, and I'm assuming the entire delegation. But I don't have a concrete idea of how likely that is at this point. I hope so.
Okay.
Is there funding for the EMPG grants? Because we're actually met this week to expend it.
Yes, I see Nicole is on here. I'll let her probably speak to that more in depth. But my understanding, based off of my last conversation, is that FEMA is at least in contact with, most people are technically working right now at FEMA as of last week, so probably. I believe they have at least been in contact with Dennis.
Okay.
I don't know the status of drawdown. Normally during a shutdown, there is no opportunity for drawdown. That has been kind of spotty this time around, so I would defer to Nicole really for that.
Nicole Filardi from Dennis.
Thank you. Thanks.
I don't know if you have any information.
Yes, good morning, everybody. So I'll talk on both BRIC and EMPG. The BRIC application is open. The deadline for that is July 1st of this year. Applicants will need to apply in the FEMA Go platform. I will just highlight there are a couple of changes to the program with this funding year. Particularly, they are prioritizing shovel-ready projects, as well as some of the planning costs that used to be eligible are no longer eligible. So if you have questions, you can either reach out to myself or our hazard mitigation specialist. They are also offering open office hours every Monday morning from 11 to 12 to answer any questions you might have. And I'll put that information in the chat for everybody. And then regarding EMPG, we are accepting applications for EMPG. Those are due June 30th in our civics portal. We have not yet accepted the award. We are still waiting for FEMA to reopen so that we will be able to do so. But we are accepting the applications from the town so that once we do accept it, we'll be able to turn those around relatively quickly. So make sure if your town does participate that you submit that application by June 30th.
Nicole, so this is Cindy from Chester. How are you? So we have an EMPG grant, and we are planning to expend money on equipment and then apply to get reimbursed. Will we be reimbursed?
So we changed in 2024, we changed the administration of the EMPG program from reimbursement for costs and expenses to now reimbursement for completion of deliverables. So it will be the same as it was last year. Your emergency management director and the town will have to complete a list of deliverables. The deliverables will be the same as they were last year. Once he or she submits proof that the deliverables have been satisfied, payment will be issued. Again, this is all pending acceptance of the award and FEMA reopening, et cetera, et cetera. And then how you incorporate that money back into your budget is at the will of the town. So essentially, we are not reimbursing you for the purchase of specific equipment. We are paying you for the completion of deliverables.
All right, I'll call you later.
It's the same as it was in 2024. So it's things like making sure the town's local emergency operations plan is up to date and approved, making sure your EMD and deputies have had their annual loyalty oath, attendance at regional meetings, making sure your contact information is up to date. Those are the general gist of the deliverables. And again, it was the same as it was last year.
Right,
So your
we're all-
EMD has been through it.
We're all set with that, right?
For
So can you
24,
please-
yes. And then they'll just need to make sure it's still all valid for 2025.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else under public speaking? Or rather congressional update, I guess we kind of wandered. Regional election.
Yeah, I'll give Carol's update. She sent it to me. She's unable to attend the meeting because she's at the registrar's annual conference this week. Different days have different subject matters and information. Most of our registrars are attending. All are part as their budgets permit. Last month, meeting day was our training session in Middletown on new software, mainly assessing and practicing in the test environment for the new voter database. Rollout after the November election. There were 15 attendees at the training last month and one IT person from the state on hand. It was very successful, and a future one will be hopefully held on a Saturday morning to capture deputies and other election workers who hold other jobs. Currently, we are in referendum season and still utilizing relatively new equipment, so it has been a busy review time for that. Please email Carol any questions or concerns, and at the conference, we hope to hear a legislative update as well on new elections legislation. So that is Carol's update.
Thank you. Let's move on to MPO business. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of March 25.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those, any comments before? All those in favor signify by aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Rob, let's talk about TIP amendments. Middletown first.
Yeah, do you want to just go through them by each project like we typically do?
Yes.
Okay. My first tip amendment is in Middletown, various locations. This project 82330 uses STP Hartford money. It's exempt from air quality. This is roadway improvements in the vicinity of Route 9, which is a breakout project of 82318. 82318 is the signal removal project on Route 9. This is the fourth breakout project, the first three being the bump outs, St. John's Square, the closure of the Route 9 access to Portland Ave, and now this one. It is for the construction phase in 2027 for $4 million, 80-20 state-federal split, and is a new project. What this project is basically moving Rapallo Ave to one-way westbound. There's a lot of congestion there at Rapallo and Maine at the AM and PM peaks, and to a lesser extent at Route 66 on the other end. This will help alleviate the congestion and improve safety. As like the other projects, they all do have independent utilities. So, if something was to, be delayed with the signal removal project, this project will still move ahead and still be beneficial.
Okay, thank you, Ron. I'll entertain a motion to approve that amendment.
I'll make that a motion.
Mike? I'll need a second. Second from Cindy. Is there any comment, question, concern? No? Those in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. Let's talk about Westbrook.
Sure, the next three line items are a Westbrook project. It's in Westbrook on Route 1. It's project number 154-127. Uses STP New Haven funds. Again, it's exempt from air quality modeling. This is Bridge 3349 deck replacement. This is, and somewhat of it, this is actually three new line items, but it's really an existing project, which I'll get to in a minute. The first line item, the AC entry for construction in 2026 for 0. That's a new line item. The second line item is the AC conversion in 2026 for $2.6 million. Again, 80-20 federal state split. This is the existing line item that's currently in the TIP. Now it's just turning to an AC conversion. And the third line item in the project is an AC conversion for construction in 2027 for $5.4 million. Again, 80-20 federal split. This is a new line item, basically increasing the cost of the project. This is the singing bridge with the steel deck. The original job was to just simply replace the deck, but the support structure under the deck also needs rehabilitation, and the new deck will just, start cracking like the existing deck. So that is where this cost increase comes from.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve 2, 3, and 4 for Westbrook. So move.
Second.
Second, thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
I'll have one question. Wasn't this bridge last worked on like recently, I think? It may be 20 years ago now, though, I guess.
25.
Yeah, maybe.
25,
okay.
When they do construction, it'll be 25 years.
Okay. Question answered, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric. Any other questions or comments?
Can you please confirm the first and second of that motion?
John and Eric.
John and Eric.
Thank you.
Anything else? Signify by aye. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes. And then the last two, statewide traffic.
Okay, yeah, the last two, again, these are new, not a new project, they're new for the tip. This is District 2. Project number 172, 549, Highway Safety Improvement Funds, again exempt. This is traffic signal safety improvements, an AC entry in 2026 for 0, and an AC conversion in 2026 for 7.9 million. I did send out the list of projects with the, agenda package. There was, I think, 7 projects along Route 1 in Old Saybrook. Those are the only ones in our region. Basically, this is basically to keep the signals in a state of good repair. There's new software, new signal heads, pretty much new everything. This is currently a 100% state-funded job, and it's just going to move to 100% federal funding to free up that state funding for other jobs.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve item 5 and 6. Second. Carl. Yeah, thank you. And second, John. Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Rob, you want to continue on with the tip presentation, the draft?
Yeah, I do have a few slides. If Kevin can pull that up, that would be great. There we go.
Share them.
Yeah,
share us to the Zoom.
Yeah, there's only a couple slides. Basically what we are doing is we're in the process of updating the tip. Our public comment period started on April 16th and will run through March 15th. Vicky was incredibly helpful for putting that together for the meetings, and Carly for revising all our flyers and brochures to make those all better looking and modern. We have our tip public meeting on the evening of the 29th at 6:30. After that, once our public comment period ends on the 16th, our May board meeting is the 27th, so we'll request MPO board adoption then. Just give us a week or two to get it to DOT for their approval. By the time the feds probably approve the state STIP, it'll probably be in the fall when we begin working on the 27 tip compared to our current 25 tip. This here is just a very quick preview of the presentation for our meeting on the 29th. So let's see here. Yes, I'm trying to go from this and that. Okay, basically what it does, what's that? Yeah, that'd be great. Basically, we just kind of talk about what the MPO is. I mean, you know that as the MPO board. Basically, the TIP is a list of federally funded projects, basically updated every 2 years. Then we're going to, at the presentation, we'll talk about what's in the TIP, basically an introduction, the resolutions, the federal funding program descriptions. So there's a list of all those. Everything's covered that's in the TIP, and maybe a few extras because some of the amendments that aren't in here now will be using those funds in the future. Various definitions of all the codes. When we do send out the TIP that goes to DOT, we'll have the air quality codes, the region codes, and all those, all the funding sources codes that you see in the application, so that's all defined. There's a financial plan and a list of projects to be funded. Then the appendix goes into basically that list resorted year and funding source that was requested a while ago to make things easier, just for people to read. List of project maps, performance-based planning and programming, the air quality analysis and comments and certification. Where are we? So if you look at the finances, the first year, let's see here, break it down by year. How did I break it down? Okay, regional, multi-regional, statewide projects. There is $3.56 million for the course of the TIP for regional projects, $189 million for multi-regional projects, and $968 million for statewide projects. Next page has an example of what the project maps look like. All the projects in the regional projects are all mapped out, not all the statewide or multi-regional projects. So this is just an example of the TAP project in Clinton on Route 1, and lists various examples of the types of projects that are in the TIP. And we kind of already talked about the appendices. So, I mean, that's pretty much what we will go over at the meeting on the 29th. I'll have the TIP there in detail so people can look at the projects. Also, the state will be there with the STIP as well, and air quality conformity determination. So if there's questions on that, they'll be there for that as well. So that's pretty much what we will be discussing then. I don't know if there's any specific questions.
Any questions for Rob regarding that presentation? Okay, Rob, why don't you go ahead and move on to the 5310 priority list.
Sure. 5310 is FTA's Section 5310 program. It's been around since the 70s to enhance transportation services for elderly and disabled populations. Typically, the money is broken down by urbanized area, both the Hartford urbanized area and the New Haven urbanized area in the region, pretty much split in the middle, north and south. Let's see here, last year, Cromwell did receive a grant for a new vehicle. I know we had the procurement meeting a month or two ago, so hopefully by the fall they will get that vehicle. This year, we didn't have any applications in the Hartford urbanized area, and there was 3 in the New Haven urbanized area from Estuary Transit. The priority list was forwarded over with the agenda. That's using DOT's priority because they go through them all statewide again. We did have a feeder service as number 1, mobility management as number 2, and the taxi voucher program as number 3. So if we had I can provide more details on those if you want, or we can just have a motion to approve that list to be forwarded to DOT.
I'll ask for a motion to approve that list and that priority ranking as presented. Anyone?
Motion.
Thank you, Cindy.
Second.
Second to my left. Oh, Mike. Thank you. Any questions or comments or need for more information from Rob at this point? No? All right. Those in favor of that priority list by aye? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? No? Thank you. Thank you, Rob. One more, Rob.
Yep, just one quick follow-up on that. I know Joe did apply for mobility management in Southwest and Northwest as well for their mobility management program, since ours in South Central has been working so well. So just that is 2.
Thank you.
Last trip, that's the Transportation Rural Improvement Program. Applications are due from the COG to DOT on May 1st, which is coming up fairly soon. Unlike many other transportation programs, I do not bring them to the MPO board for prioritization because DOT basically prioritizes them for everyone, so that takes this group off the hook there. Right now we do have one application from Haddam. The application is basically for sidewalks. They've been working on their entire Main Street sidewalk program for quite some time now. They have an existing TRIP grant over for sidewalks by the co-op extension area. This is farther up north, from pretty much from the Dunkin' Donuts down to the old Haddam Elementary School, where The sidewalks will meet up with the existing sidewalk system just farther down by where Route 81 comes out, and that bridge was replaced a while back as well. They did ask for a letter of support from the town, so I figured out that and sent that over to Sam that we can do. They do have quite a few already. They have letters of support from the Commission on Aging, Economic Development, Senior Center, Haddam Business Associations, as well as a state rep and state senator. So we can put that together and send that out as well.
And I think we're looking for a motion for that letter of support.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Eric. Is there a second to a motion?
I'll second, if I'm allowed.
It's this time, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Otherwise, those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, we're all set.
Thank you,
Rob,
guys.
anything else?
Appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Rob, anything else?
Not under that one.
Not under that one?
Nope, we did have one more.
Other transportation.
Nope, the MPP update.
Oh.
Unless that's not there.
Why don't you do that under other transportation?
Oh, okay. A while back, we did send out the list of projects for each town for the MPP update. You can get back to me with that soon. That would be great. If you have any questions, just give me a call. The drop dead deadline is, I want to say, the end of June to get those to DOT. Any projects in that list, as you know from the previous email, I think we sent out a month or two back. I mean, does have to be go into the air quality model, so that all projects do need to be reviewed there. So those who haven't gotten back to me, please do so. If you cannot or figure out how to put them into the survey, I can do that. So that's why, if you have questions, let me know and I can do that for you. I think that's about it under other.
I'll just add that our regional safety action plan funded under safe streets and roads for all is now on our website, and want to congratulate Rob and others successfully completed the project. So thank you.
Anything else under that, Ron?
No, that should do it, I think, at this point.
Okay.
ETD.
Estuary Transit, Brendan, Joe, Brendan?
Or yeah, I'm happy to start it off, and then Joe can add anything else. I apologize, I'm not there in person today. I have a meeting right after, but so a couple updates. So to start, we can talk about our bus stop program. But overall, we're getting some good progress in that. We're getting close to state permitting as well. We've had up and downs with our installers, but we're working through that, and we're getting some more bus stop signs, especially from Portland, and that's great. And we're working with other folks to resolve any issues we have with those. But overall, it's nice to see some good progress on that as the spring turns around and the weather is more applicable for getting some work done. We also have our statewide microtransit program. So as Commissioner Nicolino mentioned, there hopefully will be there's funding in the proposed budget. We hope that'll stay throughout the process and will be in the final budget, so we can continue our pilots, which are doing quite well. Madison and Guilford, Middletown are continuing to do great. And a special highlight to East Hampton, which again has really turned around in the last couple of months. We've seen really solid ridership. We had our best month ever last month. And it's basically doubled the last 6 months or so. So it's great to see. And it continues to do well. So it's a nice little story there. And hopefully continue that. Right, it'd be nice if it could continue, but it would be a shame if just as it kind of picks up, it would stop in a couple of months. So hopefully we can continue that and see East Hampton continue to grow even more. So it's a good thing we're seeing. Also just mentioned that, I might have mentioned this last time, but our fixed rate ridership for 2024 compared to 2025 was very strong. We saw about a 15 to 20% increase in ridership, so that's excellent. Over 24 to 25, so we had a really good year growth. We attribute that largely to new service, but also some service changes we made back in 2023 and just other conditions. So it's good to see that those numbers going up. And then finally, we're working on our summer service. So we have, we're working with the town of Clinton to continue their Clinton trolley. It was sort of a struggling service in the summer, but we had a great rebound last year. We had our best year ever in Clinton trolley. That was thanks to the town doing a lot more advertising and getting out the word, spreading the word. And we had lots of great signs all over town, so it helped kind of revitalize the program. And so we're continuing to have a new route and work on that even more. So we're trying to help build that program out and make it a successful summer service. And that'll start Memorial Day. And then finally, we're looking at some other potential service changes for the summer. So usually we do it in the spring, but I think we're gonna look at some potential service changes coming in the summer or fall to explore. So that's what we have going on. And I don't know if Joe's anything else you'd like to add on to that update.
Well, I'll say one on the Microtrans side, there is a Senate bill to fund the Microtrans another year. That is moving forward. However, there is an amendment proposed that would strip the funding from it. But the funding was put into the Appropriations Committee budget. So now it's kind of just a matter of making sure it stays in the final negotiated budget between leadership on the legislative side and the governor. So that's kind of where we are now, is really trying to communicate the importance of continuing this program. Leadership in the Senate, there's tremendous support. We know that in both Senate and the House side. It got overwhelmingly voted out of committee. It's got support on appropriations side. Actually, appropriations separately passed out a bill to study expanding Microtrans in Connecticut. So there's big support. We just got to make sure it stays in the budget. And then, again, I mentioned the Unified Fare project earlier. The state's really has kicked that off, and that is the intent to try and get all of us in the state on the same fare structure and accepting the same fare media, so that people will be able to move across, start initially bus systems. We connect to 4 different Connecticut Transit locations plus Southeast Area Transit. So having that ability to move from system to system without having to buy different passes and figure out how you pay the fare on each one will really help improve the ability to move across the state. And as the Commissioner mentioned, we're right now evaluating proposals for having the Tap and Ride program that we piloted now 2 years ago, and we're still using, expand that statewide, so that you'll be able to just tap your credit card. And any bus system statewide, on the back end, it will all be the same, so that you tap in London, say in Norwich, and then you tap again in London, you'll have a free transfer to us, and you tap again, and move across the state. So we've talked about this forever, and it's finally, we're making real progress. The state has a consultant on board to really work through what changes need to be made to make sure that happens. And the biggest thing is making sure that we're all held harmless from any loss of revenue, because that's what can happen. Overall, we don't expect a huge loss of revenue to the entire system, but where it's collected might change. So the state might sell more passes directly, and so we lose some of the pass revenue. And making sure that nobody is harmed by that loss of fare revenue. Now, that's a significant portion of our budgets, but it is there, and if we lost it, we would tell you that we're looking at service reductions, and we don't want that to be the result of having a unified fare.
Anything else, Joe Brennan? No? All right, then we'll move on to RiverCOG business. If I could, I would ask that the body add an item to the agenda related to the additional costs for the fiscal 25 audit as an item 7B. 7B, would someone make that motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Somewhere between Eric and Carl, make your decision on who did what. Those in favor of adding that item to the agenda is 7B? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we'll add that item. First, we'll start off with legislative updates. Sam.
All right, so the legislative session's winding down. We're tracking bills as they work through the final weeks of the session. There's still some bad bills that are moving forward, like Senate Bill 151, which would set maximum parcel size at 5,000 square feet and maximum setbacks at 5 or 10 feet from boundary lines, which we're rather concerned about, particularly for shoreline or beach or lake communities. But I'm going to turn it over to Susie Beckman to give a report, and also just to follow on what Joe reported on, You'll see on the agenda outreach letters. We are going to be sending out outreach letters articulating our position on a number of pending bills to legislators, and we're going to be looking for your support in a minute. So, Susie, go ahead.
So Sam mentioned SB 151. It's on the Senate calendar, and at this point is still moving forward. There were a couple others under housing-related items that are building on PA 25-1 that was passed in the fall, and it's a little too soon to be looking at those, so our letters will be opposing those. And then under education, at the last meeting, folks were asking about education. There are still 3 bills alive supporting more education funding for the towns. One is SB 388, and that would restore the Mashantucket, Pequot, and Mohegan Fund to its original intent of funding all towns for education. It is on the Senate calendar, so we're waiting to see what happens with that. There are 2 others that are tabled for the House calendar, so we're going to wait and see what happens with that. I checked this morning, so that's this morning there were no updates. So there may be different things on the go list for the House or the Senate agenda at this point. Let me see, other items. There's another item, House Bill 5289, to permit the posting of advertisements of legal notices on municipal internet websites and remove the requirement to advertise in a local paper now. So that one needs a push in the Senate according to CCM. So that's going to be on our support list. Let's see. There's a bill in the House and a bill in the Senate, both on both calendars, and to provide the additional 1% sales and use tax that was imposed in 2019 on meals. Take that 1% revenue and split it between the towns where the revenue came from and a tourism fund to help fund tourism marketing for the state. So we'll be recommending support of that. Another one flagged by CCM and cost makes various changes to statutes concerning historic district commissions and historic preservation. And the concern is really about the storage costs of saving videos and the tech that would be required to save the videos, and what happens if the formats changes for videos, etc. Let's see, and then also the transportation bill that Joe mentioned. That'll be on our support. So we're going to have letters going to each of the representatives and senators that are representing our various towns with a list of which bills we'd like supported and which ones opposed. I'm going to wait until this afternoon until we look at the final bills we want to include, because CCM and cost are having a meeting with legislators today. And we're going to find out which items might actually be moving forward.
And I'd like to suggest that we also add for the on-demand transit and for strong use funding as well. So, yeah, so what we're going to be doing is, with your approval, we'll be sending targeted letters to our delegation. For Senate Bill 151, since it's Martha Marks's bill, we're going to be sending a personalized letter to her directly about it. Because it's kind of weird to send her a mass letter opposing her bills.
We'll explain the opposition.
Yeah.
So the legal ad bill, as Sam knows, is dead.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Well, no, not yet.
It's not officially dead.
But Bob Duff, the Senate leaders, as soon as it came out of the House, said it will not be called.
Because Hearst.
Yeah. So. I'm not, we should still advocate for it, but apparently it's DOA, it's not going to happen. But according to Joe DeLong, I think a few of you were at the CCM meeting, he said if it doesn't, this is it, probably for another 10 years. We'll never see it again. So we're going to have to continue advertising. With regard to the bills that might give more aid to towns, like the education bill, that's a weird bill, because it flat funds, like, we're not going to get more money, and there's probably a few other towns that won't get more money. But I was looking at some of the other towns like Clinton, and it looks like Clinton takes a huge hit down, I thought. but I could be wrong about that. There was one education bill that I thought, you know, where it's ECS, and we stay the same, but Clinton went down like 1.7 million, but that's what I saw. For Old Saybrook, obviously, you know, I look at the Pequot bill, which we get zero funds from, and the SB2, which is the restaurant bill. Like those two would have more of an effect on our budget from a revenue perspective than even the education bill. I'm not saying the education bill shouldn't be supported, because it will help a lot of towns. But I'd like to see one of those other two bills get the light of day. They're both not going to get. SB2, it's going to be SB2 or the Pequot, I would think. Hopefully one of those sees the light of day and they don't both get mixed. So.
Sam, would you just highlight the letters you intend to send and the position we're taking?
All right, so actually, I'll turn it to Susie right now, just to go over the ones that so we're gonna be supporting,
Wait, you just said you were gonna give it to Susie.
well, I'm just gonna say, with the addition of on-demand transit and Troy East funding support, and now Susie.
Yeah, 151, which
Opposed.
is the Martha Marks bill, with a special one to Martha, supporting the education that brings funding into the towns. SB2 was one we were going to support. That's the one that brings meal tax money into the towns. We will definitely be supporting 5289, which is the one about advertising legal notices. That's 1% sales tax. The 1% sales tax has SB2. There's also a House bill related to that will support both. And then the transportation, the SB9, support for sufficient funds for the transportation and then the microtransit bill.
Okay.
This is Martha. I have a question.
Okay.
I couldn't hear Carl, but can he say it again? Why is it that House Bill 5289 is not going to be called to the Senate floor regarding legal notices?
Yeah, so what Carl reported was that Senator Duff said it was dead on arrival, and the rumor is that Hearst newspapers got to him. That's the rumor. Yeah, this is obviously legal notices are a big source of revenue for newspapers, and they've been fighting this every time it's come up. It makes a lot of sense to allow for online posting, and it would be a big cost saver for the towns. But newspapers have been lobbying hard on this, and it sounds like they got to Senate leadership. So that's the rumor. We're still
I did write a letter to Martha Marks because we've spent over $20,000 since July 1st on legal notices and another quotes for another $2,000 for the next week. So I'd much rather be spending my money on paying my electric bills here in town instead of the newspaper, which nobody is reading. So I just feel it's sad that we're not being heard.
Yeah, there's been some interesting Supreme Court cases recently because circulation is so low in some of the places. It's a matter of your question that is there actually any public outreach if no one is actually reading the paper? So yeah, it's an issue, but it's an entrenched interest group. Yeah.
Okay.
And the letters we're sending are going to be from the RiverCOG as a whole.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to send your own letter.
Yeah.
From your own town. List the amount of money that you're spending on advertising and let them know what else what you could use that money for alternatively if you didn't have to spend it. That could be very, it could make a difference possibly.
Yeah, the purpose is to promote public information and public involvement. It's not to just give money to newspapers. If there's going to be a separate newspaper support grant from the state, or let them pay for it. But otherwise, unless it's not effective anymore.
Okay. Did I hear a hand come up? No? Okay.
I think Janice has.
Janice?
Yes, the Regional Agriculture Council is going to be sending a letter in opposition to 5334, which is the riparian buffer legislation. It puts additional restrictions on farms, and they are asking for different ways to do that. So that letter's going out.
Yeah, and this was a discussion because this was something that was supported in our legislative agenda, and in discussion with the farmers, like they're welcome to submit whatever testimony that they wish. This is a democracy, so yeah. But we thought we'd make you aware of that issue for them.
Okay. So I would look for a motion to support sending of those letters that we just discussed to the various legislators. Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
So Brendan and Eric there, thank you. Any other comments, questions regarding those letters? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you for that. Moving on then to the additional cost, the auditor's invoice, the added item. Sam?
So I'll start and then Sally can add in. So as you all know, that this year's audit was a little bit of a challenge because it was a huge learning curve for both me and for our new financial administrator, Sally Rothenhouse. We did successfully get to submitting before our deadline of March 31st, so we were happy with that. Unfortunately, it was a lot more work getting there than in regular years, and because of the changeover in staff from Paula over to Sally. We had a meeting with our auditors on Monday where they went over a number of things to talk about how we're going to do the fiscal year 26 differently and what tools we can use. Paula tracked did a lot of things in QuickBooks, and sometimes QuickBooks was not the best solution necessarily. But the auditors also came with an ask. What they told us is that they spent about $13,500 more in hours and work that they did with us. We did get notice at one point in the email that we were beyond our engagement letter. We knew that. We just needed to get the audit done. They've offered to give us. They've asked instead of asking for the $13,500, they've asked for $7,000. And they kind of positioned it as a for negotiation, just because this was not in our engagement, but it sort of came down to we needed the assistance, and so I'm looking for authorization to pay them the $7,000. I think they gave us a significant discount off of it, and also, as I said in my memo yesterday, the last 2 times we've gone out for RFP, we have not been able to find competent, affordable auditors for auditing the COG. And so we want to maintain our relationship, of course, with HRT, so they're not losing lots of money on us and choose not to bid on us in the future. I don't know, Sally, I don't know if you want to address just the transition work that you're doing.
Yeah, there was a very steep learning curve there. And I feel that they have provided as much assistance as they can, given the position they're in and the boundaries around conflict of interest and being auditors. And they have also provided us with some good information going forward that will be super useful. And and I know that they put in the hours, they did the work that they're charging for. Also, I feel like this is one of those things where the lessons are learned, and now the goal is to keep the audit expense controlled moving forward. And I'm in a much better situation to be able to do that because of what I've learned this year.
And the one additional thing we discussed on Monday with the auditors was their finding in the audit regarding just our vulnerability because of the transition from Paula to Sally and the troubles that we experienced. This was not something that we were very surprised by. It just, they explained that, you know, because of the difficulties we had in sort of the transition learning curve, that they had to mention that in the audit, but we did discuss a number of ways of how we're going to streamline our processes so they will be more understandable to the next person who walks into this position.
And document the process.
Right, because we were using QuickBooks in many ways which are not necessarily very common, and for project management purposes. And so we're going to transition to things that are much more common to be able to allow for an easier transition and to have that documentation along with it.
I'll move authorization as requested.
Thank you, Sam. Sam, thank you, Carl. Is there a second to that motion? Second, Cindy. Is there any questions or comments at this point? All those in favor of the authorization say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, that is authorized.
Thanks.
Megan, you're up. Let's talk about zoning compliance. Oh, Eliza's going to do that, okay.
Good morning. So the zoning compliance update project, as many of you know, we've hired IMEG to help our towns to comply with certain zoning requirements for the new housing law. 13 of our 17 towns have taken us up on this. The consultant has completed all the initial meetings with the towns and produced mapped areas for the conservation and traffic mitigation districts were requested, and they're now working on language to update the regulations by July 1st. And we intend to carry over funds from the RSG funding to fiscal year 27 for any towns that want aid with the optional provisions of that new law.
Okay, thank you. Any questions regarding that? Otherwise, who's going to do shared foundations update?
That's still me.
All right, Eliza, you're up.
So Shared Foundations, as many of you know, is our housing and planning education program that we are building with a grant through Connecticut Department of Housing. So through that grant, we're creating 4 lessons for commissioners in your towns. Lessons 1 and 2, which are about community visioning and public engagement, are up on the website for your use. Lesson 3 is going to be up there shortly. We just ran it through our focus group. That one's about navigating difficult discussions using affordable housing as a model. And lesson 4 is going to be about visualizing housing density, and that's in the works. Now that Carly is here, she's gotten us on a better schedule to create our short form videos for the site, which were also part of the grant. So those will be up shortly. And if anyone has any questions about any of that, please let me know.
Okay. Are you giving to now Megan your other next piece?
Yes, no.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Regional House.
As I am sure you're all well aware, we are required to create housing growth plans by June 2028. You may be less aware that as part of that process, we're also required to create a regional housing needs assessment and set municipal housing goals by June 1st, 2027, which is coming up very soon. That gives us about a year to complete a lot of work. So what that means is, although there is still a lot that we don't know about how the state is going to interpret some of these requirements, we can't really wait for them to get started. So RiverCOG came up with a work plan for us to get this accomplished in time, and we've built in some flexibility so that we can make adjustments as new information becomes available from the state. As the first part of this process, we've just completed an update of our existing conditions data that was used in the 2022 Regional Housing Plan, as well as the data that we used in our 2025 Regional Housing Needs Assessment. And we will be presenting that to our Housing Committee at our regular meeting next week. I wanted to remind everybody that the Housing Committee is our steering committee for all of this Housing Growth Plan work. So if you don't have a representative on that committee, please get one on there as soon as you can. We'll be providing the information to the committee, and we'll be providing them with resources and tools that they can use to share the information with you, as well as your commissions and committees. So they're going to be a really key part of the process.
A lot of towns, if you're looking for inspiration on who to put on the committee, a lot of towns send their planners and they are extremely helpful in the conversation. So I would recommend that route if it's possible and you can spare your planner for a little bit. I know that's a tough ask. Our next step in the process will be to take the regional data and break it out by town. So we'll be providing all of that to you as well. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me or Eliza, and we can help you.
Yeah, and also I'd like to add, we have gone to Old Lyme and Old Saybrook, and we'll be going to Westbrook next week, but we do have a basic presentation that talks about the municipal and the regional housing growth plan. If anybody needs that presentation or would like us to come to their planning committee, please let me know.
Okay. Anything else? Janice is already standing up. Let's talk regional waste.
Continue to work on the Regional Waste Authority grant. The town profiles and the existing condition reports are pretty well completed. We'll be presenting those soon, so you can all review those. Wednesday, April 29th, a week from today, there's going to be a meeting with the Capital Region to learn about how they run their Regional Waste Authority. And I'm going to send out an invite to that shortly. Next steps, at this point, we're forming some waste authority scenarios, possibilities of different types of authorities. We're planning some meetings to explain those differences and possible authorities to get your feedback. Stay tuned for that. They could include some salt contracts, possibly, just let me throw that in. The first portion of the grant, the DEEP grant that we've been working on, will be completed with that. The ending is the end of June, and we feel that we're right on schedule with our work, so that should be done fine. This will include a decision on what we're going to be forming if we do form an authority, if we join one or do not do any kind of authority. So that's what the decision will be. The next steps in that grant are to form the different authorities, and we will be starting into a second phase of that grant pending what the decision is. There's money in the grant for whatever decision that we do make. And that's what we're doing for regional.
Any questions for Janice regarding the Regional Waste Authority review? No? Thank you, Janice. Sam?
All right, so Margot had a conflict this morning, so she can provide me with an update. So first I'll start with the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan update. Scott Choquette is sending an update, I guess to Sam, to me, later in the day. But in case he doesn't, the last schedule I have from him was the towns should be getting their annexes to review by the beginning of May. And that review is before the review, before it needs to go to DEMIS and FEMA. We'd be scheduling the third Regional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan committee meeting at the same time. For the next item, Land Trust, our annual meeting for the Lower Connect River Land Trust is coming up. We had a meeting where we presented a conservation planning tool at the National Park Service at the April meeting at RiverCOG. That meeting was well attended and well received, and the conservation planning tool was well received. The presentation of the Melvin Woody Lower Connect River Conservation Award took place on March 25th to Rockfall and the Rockfall Foundation. They were very pleased to receive it. And as a reminder, they've scheduled a summer hybrid meeting of the Land Trust, a meeting with Brian Hess of Deep Wildlife Division on the update to the state's Wildlife Action Plan for July 16th. It's a 5:30 dinner or 6 p.m. presentation. So we will be sending out many reminders before then. And and Marco also asked me to give a quick update on aquatic invasives. The Army Corps of Engineers is planning to start a series of dye studies on the week of May 25th. The schedule will be posted to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers project website prior to commencing field activities. Field surveys for state-listed plants and wildlife are scheduled to commence this spring. The first herbicide treatments, this is for hydrilla, is scheduled to occur on Lake Pokepog the week of June 22nd. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers received a fiscal year 26 appropriation approved by Congress. Unlike in the fiscal year 25 when the project received no funding, they're not sure at this point how much exactly the project will receive out of the appropriation. So that's Margot's report.
Any questions on those two items for Sam/Margot? Susie, how about the Gateway Commission?
Do you want to do that, Sam?
Oh, sure. So, a couple weeks ago, we sent a letter to the chair and vice chair of the Connect River Gateway Commission regarding planning for a withdrawal of our hosting of the commission and assistance with them over the course of during the next fiscal year for finding a new host. That it was they received it, and we've been making plans to meet to discuss it. And it was clarified that the council wants to support the commission, but with additional tasks being put on the COG, particularly in areas of housing, that we need our staff to focus on other work. So that we will give you an update as those discussions take place. And I did make it clear to them that come July 1st, we're not pulling the plug on our support, and that we will support them through the transition. So, yeah, so that's the news there.
Okay. Any questions there? Susie, go ahead, municipal economic development support.
Okay, this is the On-Call Economic Development Program, and Dale Croup, who is of Community Resource Management, he has contacted most of your towns and has gotten responses from at least a dozen, I believe, and is actually actively working with about 6 right now. So each of your towns has 12 hours of his time under the program to use between January 1st of this year and the end of December this year. If you haven't taken advantage of it, please do. Even if you're not sure what he could do for you, spend an hour sitting down and talking with him. Let him know what's going on in the town. There might be something he can help with. If not, so be it. If you have any questions, you can always contact me.
All right. Anything on that? Kevin, Mr. in the corner.
All right.
You have a couple announcements.
I'm gonna step over here so the camera's not looking up my nose. Okay, the first announcement is a survey that everyone should have received in their reminder notice for this meeting. RiverCOG would like to host a series of seminars, webinars on technology topics. You can use it either for yourselves or for your staff training. Topics from AI usage to cloud infrastructure to new devices, or it could even be items that are just basic word usage. Office 365, there's a whole host of things. Staff training is always really low down on the priority list, but it's necessary. What we're trying to do with this survey is just collect what topics are actually of value to you. So either you can answer the survey or you can pass it off to your department heads. We'd like as many responses as possible, obviously, but anything of technology necessity, we want to put together a lecture series that's actually valuable that we can distribute out for free to all of you. My second announcement, I'll just roll right into, met with the town of East Haddam. They are looking into broadband access solutions, particularly for remote residential locations. There are places that the big companies do not run their cables to still. And of course, we did look into other solutions such as the CEN network, which did broaden their scope, but there's still pretty heavy infrastructure costs that really the towns can't burden. This is a different solution. East Haddam reached out to them independently and then brought it to my attention, where this company essentially wants to be a new internet service provider, but they want partnerships with the towns in order to build their infrastructure on your property, whether it be public land, on the side of a public building, you name it.
Would this be using the municipal gain on telephone poles?
Potentially,
Okay.
yeah, potentially, but they can't build their infrastructure without your permission, so that's where that comes into play. There's a whole tier of different levels of involvement that I won't go over today because it's lengthy, but safe to say that they want to build the infrastructure to provide the service, and they're looking at it from 2 angles. One is the primary problem of trying to get internet service out to remote locations. but also as a way to kind of subsidize the program, offering that same internet service to your downtown areas, your local businesses, providing Wi-Fi access to places like public parks and that sort of thing. And it's all through a system of wireless nodes, which makes me a little uneasy. I like wired versus wireless, but I'm willing to hear them out. East Haddam did their analysis, and the hope was to try to keep the per household monthly cost to the kind of going rate of $50 or under a month. And the current build out that they're looking at, they just don't have the volume in order to meet that need. So what we're now doing is reaching out to the remaining towns to see if there's any interest in bringing this to your town to try to push for a more group rate system and bulk it up so that we can keep those costs down. So I have handouts with fancy information for anyone who wants to take them. I didn't pass them out in case you're not interested, but take as many of those as you'd like to pass around. And otherwise, if you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kevin at this point? No? All right, thank you. Moving on to item 8. Sam, what do you your update?
Yeah, so as of March 30, this is our financial report. As of March 31st, the council had completed 9 months or 75% of its fiscal year, and overall spending is within the parameters of its $3.1 million budget. Our bank account balances at the end of March, our Liberty Bank account, checking account was $447,198.48. I'll remind you that the reason it was so high was because we received a $400,000 grant that was outside of our budget. This is from PA 25-1 to do housing planning. Our STIF account was $1,548,884.39. Overall, our expenses are within the parameters of the budget. We are working, Megan, Sally and I are working on our budget for next year, and we hope to have something to the executive committee for next month for approval by no later than, of course, June. We're looking at program-based budgeting, and also with the new money that's coming into RiverCOG from PA 25-1, making sure that we can spend the money appropriately and spend it. This is something which we're struggling for this fiscal year. We asked OPM for the full amount of $400,000, and I think we are going to successfully spend it down and not have to return any money, which is always a good thing. But making sure that going forward that our different programs are programmed appropriately and to meet the strings are attached to the new money. So. And this is a great learning opportunity as well for Sally to understand all the different sources of money and how it's spent.
Anything for Sam on that?
Oh, one last thing, just as a poll as to, as I'm working on the budget, of course we're working on a salary line item. I don't know what in negotiations where the towns are for their increases for fiscal year 27. It sounds like 3% is pretty common. Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else? Anything else for Sam at this point?
I think Janice may have something for her birthday. Yeah.
All right, Janice, what do you want to do? You want to quiz us, or?
Yes, exactly,
Oh, boy.
yes. As you know, today is Earth Day, so I have some questions for you.
Hold on, we're municipal CEOs, we don't know anything.
Hi, well, let's see. Are you ready? Okay. Which of the following causes the most environmental damage? Driving a car, mowing your lawn, or riding a bicycle? And I'm going to ask Sam. What do you think, Sam?
That two-stroke engine of your lawnmower is pretty awful.
Do you think so?
I think so.
How often do you use it, though?
Oh, well, I rarely use it. Oh.
So, but that's exactly the point. Driving a car is the most polluting, to avoid driving whenever possible, but lawnmowers also contribute significantly, but you use them less.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got time in your hands, so you head out to shop. You should avoid impulse buying so you don't end up with items you don't need. Choose items that last longer, are repairable and recyclable. Or C, avoid wasteful packaging and single-serving items. Mike.
All of them.
Like his toys. Okay, number 3. You love to spend time in the garden. Which uses the most water? Grass, shrubs and ground cover, or trees? And let me ask, how about you, Eric?
It's gonna be A, grass.
Yes! Grass needs 60% more water than trees and twice as much as shrubs. Conserve water by using soaker hoses, watering before 8 or after 6 p.m., and convert some lawns to native plants and wildflowers.
Just don't water.
Or just don't water.
Or just don't water.
Let Mother Nature do the thing.
Hopefully it'll work.
Brown is a nice color.
You want to get rid of unwanted items, you should turn in paints, pesticides, and other household waste at hazardous waste events. Recycle old computers or TVs at transfer stations or electronics collections. Or C, donate used items in good condition to friends, a charity, sell at a tag sale, or bring them to a textile bin to get repaired, recycled, or reused. All right, who can I pick on now?
I may not contact with the teacher. All of them.
Correct.
Yes, all of them. Very nice. They all are good things to do, donating, disposing of things correctly, and textiles especially equate for 4 to 5% of Connecticut's MSW, which equals about 90,000 to 200,000 tons of waste. 95% of textiles are recyclable or reusable, and only 15 are currently being diverted. Most transfer stations have containers. Please recycle your textiles.
Yeah, there was a story on Connecticut Public Radio about the fabric, textiles, clothes.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, yesterday that I remember hearing.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5, which behavior change would have the greatest environmental benefits? Eat chicken instead of beef, wear cotton instead of polyester, or choose paper instead of plastic. Cindy, what do you think?
All of the above, too.
You can,
But
something's great.
chicken.
Chicken.
Cattle does.
Chicken produces 8 to 10 times more greenhouse gas and requires significantly less land and water per pound of protein. Cattle need extensive grazing pastures and large amounts of feed, while chickens are more efficient converting feed into body mass. Okay, so you guys are doing really great. I congratulate you all on these questions. And just in completing this, I have some music to Joni Mitchell, Big Yellow Taxi. And as an award, here's a pamphlet for HHW for all of you who answered the questions. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jen.
Anybody else want to?
Anything else for the good of the order? I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are done. Thank you very much.
There are bagels and donuts to be eaten. Please